Hello everybody. So today we got a very bullish news for HIMS. It is the Eucalyptus acquisition, and I'm going to talk about this acquisition in this video. But first, obviously, as I record this, the stock is down. And it's important to realize that this company is going against enormous forces. This company is following a big tech playbook. They are going international. They are doing everything they can to be the international consumer healthcare platform. They are inventing a new form of healthcare. They're inventing healthcare for the first time, as opposed to sick care. And sick care is what most countries have, and this is not HIMS. HIMS is not sick care. HIMS is introducing healthcare, and it's a big deal. And Wall Street doesn't like it. Of course, frankly, Wall Street doesn't like HIMS. It's nothing against HIMS. It's just Wall Street doesn't like AI, doesn't like innovation. You know, Wall Street hates AI. That's why NVIDIA is so undervalued. I cannot possibly imagine how undervalued NVIDIA is. NVIDIA is turning at a 0.5 on my spreadsheet. Like, how is that possible? You know, Google's fairly valued. Apple's okay valued. A little expensive, Apple. Wall Street doesn't even get NVIDIA. Like, why is NVIDIA so cheap? It makes absolutely no sense. So, of course, we're not going to get AI. We're not going to get innovation. Wall Street still has not read 0 to 1. They still have not read 0 to 1. They yet have to read it. They've read Michael Porter. They still think about moat. They think you need a moat in order to charge an arm and a leg to your customers. You got to charge an arm and a leg for the customer. You got to force them to buy the product. So you got to have a moat. That's how Wall Street thinks. So of course they hate HIMS. But that HIMS is the punching bag because it's going after another industry that also hates it. It's the sick care industry. The sick care industry absolutely hates him, and they do not understand 0 to 1. They don't understand the idea that, you should not pay for a doctor visit. The doctors are there to validate the AI, to confirm what the AI has prescribed. The AI is using a recommender system to prescribe. And you need data. You feed a lot of data to a recommender system. The doctor is there just to click and say, okay, I've reviewed it. This is my liability, my legal liability. I put my stamp of approval with my legal liability on it because it's a prescription and I am a doctor and I'm making sure the AI is not doing anything wrong. In my view, the job of a doctor is going to move more and more to that of a lawyer. Talk to doctors, talk to them about how long they spend writing notes. It's all about, a 30-minute visit. It's a 10-minute writing the notes to make sure you don't get sued. That's essentially what it is, at least in the US. I'm sure it's the same in a lot of other countries as well. So, of course, the sick care industry doesn't want to see that knowledge is free these days. Knowledge is entirely free these days. AI recommendations are entirely free these days. You should not pay for this. HIMS is building a new company where there's no doctors in the loop. There's no doctors to pay. The traditional industry also doesn't understand that health insurance is the problem. Health insurance is the problem. It's a major problem. In fact, it caps... health insurance is the reason, for example, why if you have cancer, they're going to start with a bazooka. They're going to start with the chemo, and they're not going to give you the top-of-the-line treatments, because the top-of-the-line treatments, even though you could use it as a first line of defense, they don't want to use it as a first line of defense. I was listening to Kathy Wood's presentation. She big ideas. She was saying that there is this untold rule in healthcare in which spending $100,000 is roughly how much money you should spend to start to try to save someone's life, like when they're in their 70s, their 80s. Like, it's reasonable to spend about $100,000, and you shouldn't spend more than that. I fundamentally disagree with that. But the health insurance follows these rules, and so therefore you have a life-threatening disease. You're gonna get roughly in the West, regardless of where you live, you're going to get roughly about $100,000 worth of treatment. And the rules are written this way. What if you like your life? What if you're 70 and you have a bad disease and you really like your life? What if you want to spend 500K, a million? What if you want to spend $1 million to save your life? Can you do that in the traditional health system? Well, not even, because health insurance writes the regulations to that standard, to that threshold. Health insurance is absolutely the problem as to why we don't get good care. We don't get good care because of health insurance. If you don't have health insurance, then all of a sudden people are allowed to spend more money on their health. They're allowed to spend more money on their health because people like their health, right? Kathy Wood was talking about, absolutely fascinating. She was talking about this company working for a treatment, an in vivo DNA treatment for heart disease, about 180 grand. If you have heart disease and you're an investor and you live in fear because you're in your 50s and you think you're going to have a heart attack every quarter, why wouldn't you drop 180 grand on you to fix your heart disease? And type 1 diabetes is next. And type 2 diabetes is next. What if you have diabetes? Maybe you want to fix diabetes. Maybe it's going to cost... Anyways, makes absolutely no sense. I'm so sorry about the tangent. It's a tangent. Moving on. The secure industry does not understand that you should have transparent pricing. You should know exactly what you're paying. That's HIMSS for you. And you should also have custom one-to-one medications. And they should, by the way, soon be AI designed. The AI who makes the recommendation for you can also make the custom drug for you. It should be the AI making it. And it should be transparent pricing. And of course, the market absolutely doesn't get that. You go on YouTube, it's a one-to-one feed, it's one-to-one entertainment. You go on Spotify, you get one-to-one entertainment. It's exactly your music that you like, right? The future of movies, the future of music is obviously music generated just for you. Like live as you go. The movie is just the way you like it. You don't like that actor in the movie? Change that actor, put another actor. You don't like that person's voice in the movie? I don't know. You don't like their voice? Change the voice. Make a custom movie. Everything is going one-to-one. Everything is going custom. The whole idea, these old ideas of marketing where you segregate people into categories, these ideas are entirely dying with technology. One person, one category, a category of one. So to me, it's so obvious that medications are going to be one-to-one. We shouldn't have 500 grams and 1 gram. You should have 670 grams because you're exactly that weight. So I believe HIMSS is at the forefront of that. AI designed medications. This is so obvious, except to Wall Street, right? I mean, you still have people, investing in Walgreens. Let's face this, Anyways, obviously, I know in some countries the pharmacist lobby is so strong, like they fight to continue to have pharmacies, like actual physical stores, pharmacies, like they put up a big fight. Healthcare should be 100% online. It's so obvious, and it's not just the pharmacy. It should all be online. Most of it, like. The things that shouldn't be online are things like surgery and trauma. Yeah, that I get. But other than that, like emergency rooms are still going to be a thing. Because trauma, unfortunately, we're not going to solve. But the rest, it should 100% be online. It is so obvious, and it should be tech-enabled. It's so obvious. HIMSS is at the forefront of that. But you can think about the wave of disruption that's coming. Physical pharmacies, of course, are already, on the decline. In my view, they will be gone. We don't need 45,000 pharmacies, as I always say on this channel. But medical office buildings are going to go the same way. Most medical office buildings are going to go the same way. So if medical office building going to go the same way, now you're going after a whole part of the real estate sector. You're a disruptor. HIMSS is a disruptor. HIMSS is going to be absolutely hated. That's it. That's why the stock is down 70+%. That's why the stock is dismissed, because people hate it. And then, of course, everything should happen today. And by that, I mean you should not have to wait more than 24 hours to see a doctor. You just should not. It should be like Amazon deliveries. It should be instant. I saw in my area, Amazon just released 30-minute. I have 30-minute delivery for like select items in my area. I can't believe it. I was like, okay, well, this is so obvious. Like, of course you should see the doctor right away. You should see the doctor right away. You should not have to wait. In an era with technology, the recommender system is available right away, and then you need to still have a doctor in the loop. But the laws will change one day. But while you have a doctor in the loop, of course you should have a platform that connects you to a doctor right away. You shouldn't wait. It makes absolutely no sense. In healthcare studies, they call about iatrogenic causes of death, which is doctor error or doctor mistake. In my view, how many deaths are accounted for by the fact that the doctor was not available for 6 months because they're overbooked, because there are rules that limit how many people can actually be doctors. Anyways, healthcare should be right away. It should be today. To me, it's not even acceptable to wait one day. And by the way, this is where a lot of the FUD of HIMSS going international dies. Because yes, it's true that in Europe there's a lot of nationalized healthcare systems, right? Canada too. But once something is free, what is the problem? The problem all of a sudden becomes the wait time. How long it takes you to wait. That's the problem. It's kind of a beautiful thing about the US system is you don't have to wait nearly as long to see a doctor over here than you do in a lot of socialized healthcare countries. So I think even though care may be free in these countries, people are just not gonna go through the hoops of waiting six months, 3 months, 2 months. Like only the most motivated people are gonna go through these hoops. They're just not. And so that's why these companies, in my view, are absolutely going to thrive in any country that has a socialized healthcare system. People don't want to wait. It's kind of like public transportation. Public transportation is dying across the world. Why is public transportation dying? At least in the US, it's dying. Look in your city. Look at how many people take the bus if you live in a city over like New York or Chicago. Look at how many people take the bus. I'm always flabbergasted. I see a bus. There's barely anybody. You have a whole giant bus for one person in the bus. At least in my big Texas town, that's what I see. Why? Because they do Uber. People do Uber. They don't want to wait. They want it right away. People don't want to wait for healthcare. It's the TikTok culture. It's the Amazon culture. We want it now. We want it right away. It's the DoorDash culture. We want it right away. We want it now. And it's better. It's definitely better in healthcare. It's definitely better in healthcare. In healthcare, like you could say a kid needs to have patience, etc. But yeah, if you have a health issue, it's a good thing to treat it right away, actually. So anyways, HIMSS is going against all of this stuff. And this is why the stock is so cheap on my spreadsheet. I cannot believe the stock is 3 times higher than when I first bought it, but the valuation is actually slightly lower. If I remove the rounding, you would see that the valuation is actually slightly lower than when I first bought it. It's incredible. It's absolutely incredible that the stock is so cheap. I don't understand. I absolutely don't understand it. Anyways, sorry about the ramble. Let's talk about today's acquisition. The question is, what's not to love? What is not to love? No, HIMSS is not a GLP-1 company. His is a diversified consumer healthcare platform. That's exactly what Dudum defines it as, and he's entirely right. It's about creating a platform. They say they are on a fast track to becoming the global consumer health platform. Keyword here is platform. Dudum complains that he still calls it healthcare in there, but that healthcare is not customer-centric. He's entirely right. The individual needs to be at the center of healthcare. Not the bottom line. That sounds cliche to say that, but it is actually true that if you look at insurance companies or insurance programs that are socialized, the bottom line is the main goal. Balancing the books. If you make healthcare entirely cash pay, then it's customer centric. Then people will spend as much as they want to optimize their health. And so you may have people who decide to spend much, much more because they want to have better health, and health is important to them. You may have people who really don't care about their health, but my guess is most people care about their health, and so you need a customer-centric platform. That's what Doodoo is created. It's a customer platform. It's a customer-centric platform. So let's talk about acquisition. 450 million AR, growing at triple digits, absolutely insane. Near profitability. He said that in the letter. And this is the most insane part for me. We got seller financing. Seller financing. This is insane. So you're only putting 240 million up front. And you remember they got that money from the fundraise that they did when the stock was at all-time high. What a master move to issue these converts when the stock was at all-time high. Like the business is secured for years because of that. And they can do acquisition. It's amazing that they would not have borrowed that $1 billion today with the depressed market that we have today. They would not have borrowed it today. That was a master move to borrow it then. That debt of HIMS has now become an asset, a very, very, very clear asset. That debt is probably trading for like half its value when it was issued. So good for HIMS. Anyways, despite that, they still got seller financing, which is insane. It's so great. I'm very happy about this. So let me talk about. There's two things I want to talk about. First of all, what's absolutely important behind the. I'll talk about it in a second about how cheap. Because what I want to say is how did they get something? I really want to say is how did they get it for so cheap? Before I talk about how cheap they got this company. I want to talk about the kind of the end game, right? This is an AI-driven platform. HIMS is an AI-driven platform. AI-driven care. Spotify or YouTube or TikTok or X, they're so good at their goals, or Amazon, selling you stuff, YouTube, keeping you entertained. These are the goals of these algorithms. They're so good at their goals because they have, billions, in the case of this platform, of users, billions of users. So with billions of users, you have billions of data points, and you're able to achieve your objective, which in their case is to steal your attention, right? The objective of YouTube is to take your attention away. When applied to healthcare, what is the goal? And the goal is to get you to consume more healthcare. And what is the end game? The end game is better and better recommendation. Like, actually creating a pill that works for you because it is designed just right and it is exactly what you need. And then you take it and you have better health. You achieve better health by taking that pill that was designed by AI and that is perfect for you. Just like your Spotify feed is likely perfect for you. Just like your TikTok feed is perfect for your teenager if you happen to, have a child. So this is how it works. And the currency of this system is the data. The currency is the data. That's the point I'm trying to make. With this acquisition, we're acquiring 775. So I don't know how much of the ARR is those. It's probably lower. But in the thing, they talk about having served more than 775,000 customers. So it's actually lower for recurring customers. But the point is you're acquiring data. So not quite 1 million, but almost, right? And anyways, give it time. If you think it's not 1 million, give it a few months. Scoring triple digits. So my point I'm trying to make is that HIMS right now has 3 million customers. Think about that data flywheel. Like the data flywheel is absolutely insane that you can start building on this. You can start building on this a tremendous data flywheel, and it's all about making sure you actually use AI to analyze this data. Does traditional healthcare do that, which is a heavily siloed industry? An hospital may not communicate to another hospital. Most of healthcare in the US is hostage to Epic. I would argue Epic is a private business. It's definitely not the most innovative business. Epic is a family business, and they're keeping hostage. I heard they had AI notes now on Epic, though, so I don't know. But it's kind of like an industry who's clobbered by like the SAP of their industry, and of course, IMS has its own EMR. right? Electronic health records, right? They have their own, and they can analyze that data. And to me, the data flywheel is going to be a tremendous form of competitive advantage. And of course, this is not even represented in the stock price. Like this is obviously not represented in the stock price, but this is exponential. People realize, we have 3 million. Okay, give it 2 years. Will we have 10 million customers in 2 years? Growth by acquisition. We know that there's old, outdated research always says, acquisitions are bad. But let me tell you, if you look at the research on acquisition, it's actually much more nuanced. Small baby acquisitions are good. It's the big acquisitions that are bad. And the problem is when you make blanket statements like acquisitions are bad, you're including like things like the failed acquisition of Time Warner by AT&T, which in your sample would be enormous when you do these studies. The truth is, small acquisitions are actually pretty darn good. Google acquired YouTube for what? 1.6 billion. Google acquired Android for what? 50 million. Instagram didn't Facebook acquire Instagram for $1 billion. Small acquisitions in tech work differently than the old adage of Wall Street that acquisitions are bad. It's quite important to realize that. So I love to see acquisition at this scale, at this level. Anyways, let me conclude. How in the world was HIMS able to acquire this company for 240 million of cash outlay today with a 450 million ARR? We got seller financing. The business is going to pay for itself. What I think HIMS is going to do, and this is absolutely fascinating, I think they'll go the same way as LiveWell. The LiveWell acquisition in Canada, that they're rebranding it as HIMS and Hers, right? And so if you go in Canada, if you go on the LiveWell acquisition, it's like HIMS and Hers. For Zava, they're still working on it, although HIMS and Hers is in the UK. Zava is not quite there on the rebranding just yet. But in my view, this company that they acquired, Eucalyptus, is right in the wheelhouse of HIMS. It's now I expect much rebranding. You want to create a global brand, so I think there's going to be a lot of rebranding, and I'm particularly pleased by the cross-pollination that will likely happen, because they acquired some pretty darn interesting stuff. So, of course, there's a HIMS copycat in there. There is also a Hers copycat. I didn't show it in there. It's I can't remember, but they have a Hers copycat. I'm just showing you the HIMS copycat. So these are the copycats. Yes, they have gotten into the GLP-1 craze. So a lot of these websites, not a lot, but yeah, a lot of them still sell weight loss products. More importantly is they got Japan in the mix. So they enter Japan. So this company Juniper, I'm showing you the Japanese homepage, but they're in Australia, UK, Germany, and Japan. So they're entering Japan. So this is a really, really big deal. If you want to be a global company, you got to be everywhere. And interestingly, they have divisions that I think they will be able to bring to the US, that they will be able to cross-pollinate. So, for example, they have a dermatology oriented brand. Compounding dermatology. This reminds me a lot of what Oddity is doing. They just acquired that. That's a big deal. They could cross-pollinate, bring that to the US as well and to other parts of the world, right? But that's not it. They acquired Kin. Kin is for fertility. If you know anything about demography and you read about it, it's actually one of the top concerns for a lot of populations right now, especially in the West. Not just the West, right? They're not in Korea, but in Japan, that's definitely something you could expand in Japan. Kin, so they don't have an offering like that, HIMS. So they acquired that. That's a pretty big deal. And then lastly, I'll conclude. Fascinating this. This is fascinating. They have a weight loss platform that focuses on Ally, which is interesting because very, very few people have talked about Ally. So Ally is OTC in the US, right? You can buy it at Walmart. But it's not in Australia. And interestingly, Australia has these like pharmacy guarded or pharmacy prescribed weight loss, or there's a type of drugs, right? Not weight loss. Anyways, they have kind of like this hybrid where you need a prescription, but that prescription, or you don't need it, or it comes via the pharmacist. Anyways, they have a website to sell Ally, which is very interesting because I didn't know that Ally was making a comeback. Right, it's kind of a throwback. It's been this one has been a while for a long time. Could IMS? It's true that on this channel I always talk about liraglutide, semaglutide. I talk about metformin. We've forgotten about Ally. So is there something going on with Ally? Could IMS expand its weight loss pills perhaps with Ally? Could this be something? And apparently in Australia it's doing well. They have a platform that's just for Orlistat. Oh, and by the way, Compound, they are working on HRT too. So HRT is going to happen over there, from what I understand. So tons of brands, tons of cross-pollination possible, and obviously 450 million ARR. 240 million down. That's just insane. I think Eucalyptus, is trading much cheaper than HIMS. If you're being reasonable, is trading much cheaper than him. This is a fire sale. To me, this is a fire sale pricing. So, anyways, pretty darn good stuff. I am so confident in this company. I'm very pleased with this move. This is a very good move. HIMS is taking every step towards becoming a big tech global brand and global platform. So I love it very much. Anyways, this was not investment advice, not financial advice, not health advice. This is only entertainment. I'm hoping you were entertained. Please please subscribe, follow me on Patreon, follow me on X. Thank you for watching, and have a wonderful, wonderful day.